Well, welcome to the second set of my 75th birthday kind of musical memoirs. Um, and in this set, I'm going to kind of concentrate on my work in human services, mental health in particular. I worked a lot in over the years, but I taught school, I worked with juvenile delinquents, and then I went into community mental health. So had a lot of experience with that. But uh, one person in particular always stands out in my memory. She was when I was working as a community mental health worker. She was referred to me and came into my office one day, and she immediately said she couldn't talk to me because they were listening. And so I said, "Who's listening?" And she said, "You know." So I proceeded to, with her help, search my entire office looking for microphones. We moved all the file cabinets, we moved the desk, we looked, and finally I convinced her that there was no microphones in my office. And she sat down and we started to talk. And from that time forward, we had a very good relationship talking. She had a lot of delusions, was very paranoid, but she trusted me. And we spent a couple of years meeting each other once or twice a week, either in my office or finally I got her so she'd go to a public place and we could have a cup of coffee. But she was always much more nervous there. She preferred my office because we had assured ourselves that there weren't any microphones there. Well, I left that job and moved on, and it was about 2 years after I left that I was working in a different job, and I was going to the nursing home to look in on a person that I was evaluating. And when I finished my evaluation, the nurse came up to me and she said, there's somebody here that I think you might be interested in seeing. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, I think you know this woman. It's Emmeline. And I went, Emmeline? She's here. She was in a nursing home. And so I went in. And I said, hello, Emmeline, how are you? And she looked at me and looked at me. She finally, she said, well, I think I know you. I should know you, but I don't remember. And I said, that's okay. We're friends. She said, I thought we were friends once. And I said, oh, we're still friends, Emmeline. And we sat there and I talked to her for a while. And then I said, well, I have to leave now, Emmeline. You just remember that we're friends. And we still are. You walk in the room, you see them sitting there. Old people in shawls, in silver wheelchairs, the blind and the lame, herded into a room where there's no one to love and nothing to do. Play us a waltz, play us a tune. I'll pray for you, mister, each night in my room. My children are grown, my living is done. Oh, say you'll remember, my darling young ones. Here in this place, there are no last names. It's Martha and Bill, Sarah and Jane. Everything else has been given away to children who don't come on visiting day. Play us a waltz, play us a tune. I pray for you, mister, each night in my room. My children are grown, my living is done. Oh, say you'll remember, my darling young ones. Get 'em up in the morning, see that they're fed. Lay 'em back down at night, where they cry in their bed. In the worst kind of prison, where there ain't no parole. No one sets them free, they're unwanted and old. Play us a waltz, play us a tune. I'll pray for you, mister, each night in my room. My children are grown, my living is done. Oh, say you'll remember, my darling young one. You walk out the door, and they're still sitting there. Old people in shawls and silver wheelchairs, the blind and the lame, herded into a room where there's no one to love and nothing to do. Won't you play them a waltz? Play them a tune. They'll pray for you, mister, each night in their room. Their children are grown, but their living ain't done. Oh, say you'll remember, my darling young one. Play them a waltz. One time, after I lived in Seattle, I moved to Seattle. I was working in the mental health field. And I was taking a walk one day down on Capitol Hill, and I didn't meet him actually because he never spoke to me, but I saw this guy. He was an old fella, and I acknowledged him, but he didn't acknowledge me. And then he sat down on a bench, and he started just whistling. He wasn't really whistling a tune, he was just whistling randomly. And while I stood there, and I stood a little ways off, I was maybe 25, 30 feet from him, and all of a sudden I started seeing movement in the trees, and I looked all around, and there were blue jays and crows and little birds, and squirrels were running through the trees from every direction. And all of these birds and squirrels came flocking to this fellow who was sitting there calmly, just whistling. And when they all got close, he started throwing out breadcrumbs and seeds to them. And I assumed that he was one of the residents of the various facilities nearby, but I never got a chance to find out. I never asked. But I wrote this song about him. It's called Victor. I don't know if that was his name, but that's what I called it. Victor comes to sit here every day. Squirrels and birds flock his way. He tells them all that life's okay if you set yourself free. He whistles his songs and here they come. They come for food and for fun. They come to tell him he is someone. They tell him he is alive. He lived his life on Puget Sound. A family there and a good life he found. But now they're gone and don't even seem to care. Seems the problems are only theirs. They don't come and visit him there. It's a lonely life when you finally get old. Victor comes to sit here every day. Squirrels and birds block his way. He tells them all that life's okay if you set yourself free. He whistles his songs and here they come. They come for food and for fun. They come to tell him he is someone. They tell him he is alive. And that was Victor. A few years ago, while we were taking a trip, Gene and I were taking a trip down to California, and we stopped at a rest stop, and there was a woman sitting against the curb, sitting on the sidewalk, leaning against the brick wall there, and had a little cup out for some change, but she was just sitting there. And boy, it really just struck me so much that the rest of our trip down to California, which was another day and a half, I spent writing this song in my head. And by the time we got down to Petaluma, California, I had this song pretty much fleshed out, wrote it down. I call it Sidewalk Sister. She sits on the sidewalk by the rest stop's brick wall, reading a book or doing nothing at all. Her gray eyes search mine as I pass on by, as if they're asking me why. Can you spare me $1 for your pocket change? Please don't look at me like I'm something strange. I'm really not different than you are, mister. You could call me your sidewalk sister. Once I was married and had my own home. My husband got bored and started to roam. He took all my money and left me outside. All he left was my pride. Can you spare me $1 for your pocket change? Please don't look at me like I'm something strange. I'm not really different than you are, mister. You could call me your sidewalk sister. So now each day I just sit here alone, tailbone sore and chilled to the bone. I'm reading this book a stranger gave me while I wait to get a hot cup of tea. Can you spare me $1 for your pocket change? Please don't look at me like I'm something strange. I'm not really different than you are, mister. You could call me your sidewalk sister. So I dropped in the $1, go on my way. Bless you, she says, as my coins hit the tray. I can still hear that jingling sound, like church bells ring on her holy ground. Can you spare me $1 for your pocket change? Please don't look at me like I'm something strange. I'm not really different than you are, mister. You could call me your sidewalk sister. Can you spare me $1 or your pocket change? Please don't look at me like I'm something strange. I'm not really different than you are, mister. You could call me your sidewalk sister.